Testing methodologies are way of managing the project, starting from when you have a requirement, then all the way it being delivered to the client and goes to production, and then servicing or maintaining the application. So that includes resource allocation, developing the software, testing it, and all these phases. That's testing methodology. So there are different methodologies out there. Agile methodology. It is a process for managing projects by iteration and collaboration. What that means, a team can manage a project by breaking them into smaller stages. The end goal is to deliver what the client wants or define requirements. Agile methodology focuses on collaboration between self-organizing cross-functional teams. That way, teams can deliver products faster with better predictability. Agile method is built to adapt constant changes to the requirements. Here is an example. Product owner writes the requirements. It is sent to the entire team, dev, QA, design team, and so on. Developers, they start writing their code. QA tester, they start writing their test cases. When developers are finished with their code, they will send it to QA. QA will test it. If something fails, it will be sent back to developers. They will fix it. Then it will be retested. Regression testing is done. When everything is completed, the software will be deployed to UAT. Then business owner or product owner will test it. If they're satisfied, then it will go to production. Now moving on to Scrum. What is Scrum? Scrum is a flavor of Agile. Think it as of your favorite candy. Mine is Kit Kat. Kit Kat has many flavors: chocolate, apple, strawberry. There is even a weird one, purple sweet potato. Kit Kat also comes in different sizes. So Agile is an overall framework, or you can say Agile sets certain standards. From there, you can use different flavors of Agile such as Scrum, Kanban, XP, and set rules based on your team's needs. Now, here are the main concepts of Scrum. Remember three threes. First, threes. Roles. There are different roles. First one is Scrum Master, then Product Owner, and the team. Let me break it down for you. Scrum Master is similar to Project Manager. Scrum Master is responsible for making the process run smoothly. He or she is responsible for addressing any issues, concerns which might impact productivity, and organizes meetings. They keep up to date every stakeholder or team members with the team's progress. Now going to product owner. Product owner is similar to BA, but product owner owns more responsibilities. Product owner owns the requirements, or you can think of they're the keeper of the requirements. Product owner is a bridge between the team and the customer. Any question team has related to requirements, product owner clarifies it. Main contact for product requirements. If the product owner is not sure about something, they will reach out to the customer or client and update the team. Product owner works very closely with the entire team, maintains product backlog, so you can think it as customers wish list, or another way of thinking it as what the customer wants in their product or the features they want, and that is stored in a backlog known as user stories. The features the customer wants in their application or software. Product owner clarifies questions related to features and bug fixes, sets the schedule for releasing completed work to customers, makes the final call. Usually when testers complete testing a story, the product owner verifies it before moving it to stage or prod. Now the Scrum team. The team is self-organizing and cross-functional group of people. Everyone in the group is part of the team. Developers, QAs, design team, even the Scrum Master and the product owner. Team have the authority to make decisions and how to perform the work. For example, break work into tasks. The team size should be small, recommended 7 to 9 people, but usually that's not the case. Now second threes, daily stand-ups. Team talks about three things. What did you do yesterday? What are you going to do today? Any roadblocks? What did you do yesterday? Meaning what work did you do? what for developers, which ticket they worked on, for QAs, what ticket they worked on, and what are you going to do. The same analogy, what ticket or user story you're going to work on. Any roadblocks, meaning if there something you need, if you need some clarifications from the product owner or from anyone, or something is not working, or you need some kind of password or some kind of tools, you're having issue with certain tool, you need to resolve that. So you raise any kind of issues you're having in stand-ups, and that should be resolved immediately. Another thing to note, daily stand-ups should not be more than 15 minutes. That's for entire team. So if there are 9-10 people, the max time is 15 minutes. So one should not just give so much detail that they are taking the longest time. It should be brief, just giving status. Okay, I have worked on this ticket. For example, as a QA, okay, I have worked on these user stories, and move on. Now the third three is sprint retrospective meeting or retro meeting. It's really difficult to say. I have a hard time saying it. So I'm going to just refer it as retro meeting. Retros are done end of the sprint, more of a sprint review meeting you can think of. It is an opportunity for the Scrum team to inspect itself and make plans for improvements. 3 things discussed in the retro meeting: what worked well in the sprint, what did not work well in the sprint, what can be improved in the next sprint. It doesn't have to be these 3 questions or just specifically 3 questions, but that's what I have seen previously. Other Scrum concepts. Backlog. Backlog is a wish list, as I explained before. The features product owner or the business owner wants in their application or software. User story. User stories are requirements. Viewpoint from the end user, meaning that login page, right? What do you want in login page? And there will be detailed description of it. Should be very detailed so developers can understand, design team can design it. User story should have all the requirements in details, meaning developers will write their code based on it. Design team will implement their design. QA team will test based on the requirement. So user story is very important. Velocity. Velocity is the amount of work a team can handle in a set period of time. Here I'm referring to the sprint. So 2 weeks, one sprint is 2 weeks. So how much work can a team handle within 2 weeks? Velocity chart. Velocity chart is a visual representation of your project's progress. So it is basically a visual representation. Sprint, small or short milestones. Sprint is a set of period of time where all the work is done. As I explained before, sprints can be 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or 4 weeks. I even heard 1 week sprint. Burn down chart. Burn down chart indicates the process of the project in a line graph versus time. Demo. Demo is basically where teams showcase their work. So now we know what is a backlog, but how do we know what to work on? That's where backlog grooming or refinement meeting comes in. It is a recurring meeting, meaning every sprint will have grooming meeting. Primary purpose is to make sure there are enough work or user stories for the team to work on before sprint planning. So product owner prioritize the backlog items and discuss the stories with the team and answers any questions related to the user stories. In this meeting, team breaks down large user stories into smaller tasks. There are various methods to break down stories. Some teams use t-shirt sizing or playing poker. Here I'm going to talk about t-shirt sizing. The t-shirt sizing method allows the team to give the product owner a wild guess of how large a task may be. Let's say product owner has 10 stories in their backlog. T-shirt sizing kind of gives an idea how big these tasks are. There are various ways t-shirt sizing can be implemented. To keep it simple, we can have them as small, medium, large, and extra large. And there is this thing called an epic. Epic is simply too large. If a task is small, such as minor changes, you can give it a small size. Small size, usually less than 4 hours of work. Medium size, 1 to 2 days of work. Large size, 3 to 4 days of work. Extra large, 1 week or more. T-shirt sizing can vary from one team to another or from one company to another. Now, Who can t-shirt size? People who are going to work on the stories. So everyone should be in this meeting, the entire team, including product owner, scrum master. Matter of fact, scrum master who is driving the whole grooming session. Now we're going to look at sprint planning. Sprint planning is another meeting before the start of a sprint. This meeting officially kicks off the sprint. This meeting usually happens after the grooming or refinement meeting. The purpose of sprint planning is to define what can be delivered in the sprint and how that work will be achieved. Sprint planning is done in collaboration with the whole Scrum team. The team will take the stories from the backlog grooming meeting and estimate them in hours or points. Remember one thing. In grooming meeting, the team does not estimate stories. Refinement meeting, grooming meeting is to break down the stories into smaller tasks. Sprint planning is to estimate them in hours or points. QAs also give their estimates on how long it will take to test their stories. If you never did sprint planning before, you can follow this general rule. Give half of the time for testing versus dev's time. Example, if a dev gave 5 hours for his or her story, for testing you can give about 2.5 hours. Sprint planning should not be more than 2 hours. This can be done by time boxing. The Scrum Master is responsible for making sure the meeting happens as the time box is understood. If the team is happy before the time box is finished, then the event is over. A time box is a maximum time allowed. There is no minimum time allowed. I know Scrum is not easy to understand. Only way to fully understand is by involving yourself with the Scrum process. Here I'm going to give you guys an example from one of the companies I work. Not every company or project follows the same rule. I'm sharing this for your better understanding. We follow 2 week sprint. Sprint is nothing but a time period. The team has 2 weeks. Stories picked up by the team should be completed by that time. For any reason, if they cannot finish all the tickets or user stories, those remaining tickets can roll into the next sprint. I am used to saying grooming meetings. The entire team should be in the meeting, including product owner and Scrum Master. Scrum Master is kind of the moderator or organizer of the meeting. The product owner sets priorities from the backlog for the sprint. It is a good idea to groom the backlog items for few sprints, but sometimes for time constraints, that's not possible. Developers, architects, QAs can ask questions if they need any clarification. Most of the questions are asked by devs since they are going to work on it and have technical knowledge. Product owner clarifies any questions or concern the team might have. We use version 1 for project management tool. You can use Jira as well. Scrum Master usually pulls the backlog items and the team t-shirt size them. We categorized large stories that needed more than one sprint to complete as epic. Now if I ask you what is an epic, you should able to answer, right? And I just said one sprint. How many days is that? That's your homework. Leave your answer in the comments section below. Most companies I have worked use 2 weeks sprint, but that doesn't mean that every company must use 2 weeks sprint. Some companies use 3 week sprint as well. If developers thought a story needed less than 4 hours to complete, that's a small. If a user story estimated about 1 to 2 days, that's a medium. Anything estimated more than 2 weeks or one sprint, that is an epic. So what do you do with an epic? You break them into smaller stories. So it's not an epic anymore. It can be 2 or 3 user stories if needed. Grooming session should not be more than 2 hours, but it can be less. Usually the next day the entire team meet again for another meeting, but this time it is sprint planning. Sprint officially starts by kicking off or starting sprint planning. Product owner is optional to join since in this meeting the team is going to estimate their work by hours or points. Having product owner in the meeting can cause conflicts unless there are trust between product owner and the team members. For some tickets, no one knows how long it's going to take them to complete. Everyone should use their best judgment. Moving on with the topic, Scrum Master pulls up the user stories that were groomed in grooming meeting previous day. Now for each story, they give their estimate. QAs also give their estimate. Let's say we have a user story called login page. We have 3 devs in the meeting, 1 QA and Scrum Master. Dev 1 takes this particular login page ticket. Scrum Master asks him, what is your estimate? He says 10 hours. That's 2 days worth of work. How is that calculated? 1 day is 8 hours, right? There are meetings and so on. So 3 hours allocated for meetings and other activities and 5 hours for real work. Let's put it that way. For the same ticket, Scrum Master will ask QA to give her estimate. She might say 5 hours since she needs to test across multiple platforms, browsers, and devices. The same process will be done for every single user story until the team finished with estimating all the tickets or they reaches the 2-hour mark. One point to remember, Scrum Master and product owner should not give any estimates. The next step is the actual work is being done. The entire team will work on their assigned tickets. End of the sprint, team will meet again to showcase their work, also known as demo. You can say it's another meeting where team members will demo their work and anyone can ask questions or put their input. Last thing is the retro meeting. I have already covered that part and that's the whole flow. Hope that gives you better understanding of Scrum. Why Scrum, or why is Scrum so popular? Following the Scrum methodology, team can ship code faster or deliver code to production faster. Work is done in a very organized manner. Everyone knows their role, what tasks to complete. Any questions answered in a faster manner. It saves money, it reduces failure, increases predictability. Besides Scrum, within Agile there are few other flavors such as Kanban and XP. So Kanban, you can think it of as more flexible. Scrum has certain rules you need to follow. Kanban is flexible in that sense. I have seen in many projects using the Kanban methodology, teams have taken some of the concept of Scrum but not following all the way. For example, there are no grooming meetings. Team simply goes to sprint planning and that's it. And there might not be any demo. And XP also is known as extreme programming. What is a waterfall methodology? The waterfall method is a linear, sequential project management approach. Each phase depends on the deliverables of the previous one. To simplify this, if you look at the chart I have down there, in first phase, requirements are finalized. When it's finalized, it goes to design and you cannot add any more requirements. It's finalized, it's moved into the design team or it was sent to the design team, designers, they will design and then that will be sent to the development team, QA team, other teams. Developers, they will start writing their code. QA, they will start their developing their test one, test cases and so on. When they have completed writing all the code, they will send it to QA and QA will test it, and when everything is fixed, it will go to UAT. The business owner or the client, if they're satisfied, then it will go to production and then it will go for maintenance. And if you need to add new features, it will go through the same cycle again. So that's the difference between Agile and Waterfall. Agile is flexible.